Welcome, welcome. This is Andy Lee Graham. I'm in San Pedro, the village of San Pedro, on Lake Atalan. There's about 12 villages on this lake. It's really quite a big lake, and they often call them the 12 Apostles. But I'm in San Pedro, and I would definitely say it's probably the most perfect climate I know, meaning that it's endless spring, there's no air conditioning, there's no furnaces needed. Sometimes they do have it, but it's ridiculous, right? Um, and they have coffee, so I'm drinking some coffee and banana bread. Sorry about that. But today I'm going to talk about sleeping in an attic. And this is a very special epiphany type time in my life. And the reason why I'm making the video, I wrote a chapter in my book, and this is really written like a chapter. So anybody that's clicking on that link on the live, I go live at the same time. That way I can once in a while get some great feedback, right? And it's really hard to talk to yourself, okay, for an hour. Okay, but I really enjoy the kind of the camaraderie of conversations on the live. But um, I wrote this chapter, and it's I'm not going to go through the whole chapter here, but I'm going to try to give you what the situation was. I was in Midland, Michigan, and I had a business up there where I had a woodworking project where we actually manufactured waterbed frames and different types of furniture. And I had a shop where we mass produced it, kind of. I mean, really small mass produced it. But I had discovered that I could get my driver's license back. I kind of went up there and I don't know. I lost my driver's license. My parents took me up there. My brother was living up there, and it's a very educated place because Dow Chemical is the owner of the city in a way, and it's the smallest city in a way, and it's highly educated because mostly you have kind of like scientists, chemists in middle of Michigan. But I was living up there for about 2 years, and it was kind of a hiatus or sabbatical from Indiana, where, in a way, my parents took me up there. I think, uh, in a way, they were worried about the legal system capturing me and throwing me in jail. I don't know exactly, but it's been so many years ago. It's like 40 years ago, so I don't actually. It was like the lost decade, right? And I'd stopped drinking when I was tried to stop drinking when I was 21. And by that age, I was like, I don't know, 26, 27. So I was not succeeding. I drank many times. But I decided, I realized I could get my driver's license back. The time period where they had taken it away was gone. And I decided that this was ridiculous. I didn't want to live in Michigan. I got offered a factory where I could have 100,000 square foot factory, and that kind of changed my way of thinking, because when they offered me this and these investors said that we will set you up in business, 100,000 square foot factory, I realized that I had a reason for living. I had value, okay? But that's not the reason why I'm doing it, because what I'm talking about, when you go travel is a rediscovering who you are. And everybody, in my opinion, all through their life have these turning points, these paradigm shifts, these epiphanies, these moments when they change the direction. It's like the path uh, less taken, right? So sometimes there's a fork in the road, and we take a different path. It's like in the Wizard of Oz. Some go this way, and some go that way. That's the scarecrow, right? But I'll read a couple kind of quotes. I mean, what is it to be good? How it feels. The ultimate feeling of power is to be a good boy or girl all day, every day. All those lingering thoughts of worry are gone. What I'm saying there is, what is it to be good? How does it feel? The ultimate feeling of power is a feeling of power to not do anything in the day but be a good boy or a good girl, and to know that you don't have to apologize for anything. And that is a very difficult thing to do. It's kind of like there's philosophical things where people are looking to find the one honest person, right? Or the one good man. And my mother also, and I'll tell you, my mother, when I was drinking, she said, Andy, if you kill someone driving drunk, you will not be able to live with yourself. My mother, my mom Graham, aka Sherry Lee Graham, got the same middle name as me. She said this to me. She said this to me many times when I was drinking, and I realized that I'm kind of a purist. I'm a person that when I say something, I really want to have a correlation between what I say and what I do. And the problem with drinking or any kind of drugs or a lot of these crazy people out there on the planet, um, they've never lived a life where they actually did what they said they were going to do. So one of the great reasons to take off to travel for like 6 months, a year, or whatever, is because you can erase all the background in your life and you can kind of start over. And this is like the movie Eat, Love, and Pray, right? Um, in that movie, she went around the world and she kind of found herself. And this is, in my opinion, whether they're looking for love or eat, love, and pray, and not they're wanting to eat, they want to enjoy the culture of all the places they go. They want to pray, they want to find their inner God, and love. They look for love. So this is absolutely travel. Okay, but I'm talking about one of my particular epiphanies. Is that the right word? Well, it's one of those turning points in my life where I made a decision to change. Okay, and I uh, I'm going to say I'm relating this to Henry David Thoreau because he made me really think about this because Henry David Thoreau was almost obsessed with doing the right thing. So when he wrote the essay on civil disobedience, which Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, I think Martin Luther King Day is coming up soon, but what they did, it was how to disobey, how to non-conform to the government, how to disobey the government in a correct way. So civil disobedience. So civilly to disobey the government, right? And so he was a purist in the sense that when he came up with a way to live his life, he did it. He wanted to do it exactly the way he did it. Now, I do feel that he's a little bit on the going to the solitude, self-reliance, going to the watered pond was made it kind of easy. Jeff G in Fort Wayne used to always say it's easy to be a saint up on top of, or a guru up on top of a mountain. It's another thing to be a guru in the middle of chaos. Okay, so I was when you drink or you have drugs or you're basic, or say you have 5 children or you're just graduating from high school and you got chaos in your life, it's very hard to do the right thing because there's all these compromises, like a rhinestone cowboy, right? The road is full of it's like a rhinestone cowboy. It's there's compromises, this load of compromises. In the movie The Razor's Edge with Bill Murray, they say the road to salvation is long and narrow like a razor's edge. To be a good person and to do the right thing is often beyond the power of a person. Why? We live in a world where everybody, first of all, right now in this world, anybody that is actually, they're going to call you a goody two shoes, right? And I probably up to age 18 was goody two shoes. I was a nerd in high school, and I worked for a farmer that was a really good man, Emery Spade, and we called him Buster, and we did everything the right way. We worked on a farm, and we did things the right way. We never did anything the wrong way. So how you do anything is how you do everything. Alan, the guy here on Lake Athlon, first told me that. I'm going to drink some coffee here. Not really the best coffee on this lake. But how do you become a new person? How do you go travel? Okay, see, why does this relate to travel? Why does this relate to my life? I left the United States 25 years ago to start over, kind of to do in Alcoholics Anonymous, they call it a geographical cure. Geographical cure normally is a negative thing. The idea that what you're doing is you're going to another place and not take, you act like it's all the people around you that's causing you the problem. But they go to another place and they find out the real problem was taken with them. The problem is me. Okay, but there's also a value in doing a geographical cure where you erase the memories. I had a lot of bad memories because I was on house arrest for a year in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I drove around on a moped and for 5 years, almost 6 years. And you're considered a bum, hobo, and people really are very, very mean. Okay, but prior to losing my license for 10 years and getting on house arrest, I'd stayed sober for 3 years. And up in Midland, Michigan, I closed down my business, decided to go back to the United States, and I was broke. And it was summer, and a man, a very, very good man, he had actually even gave me a bunch of air guns to use in my business. He's a really good man, and he used to say, "Hey, pay me when you get rich," because at that point I had a lot of ambition. It was quite obvious that I had a lot of ambitions, but I didn't have the ability to carry through. Okay, and a lot of people are really upset about my business that I just closed down, Hobo Traveler, Everyday Hobo, and I said, "Hey guys, 23 years and 10 months. I closed it down because we didn't make business money for 3 years. It wasn't a failure, okay? It was a complete, absolute success. There is an exit to everything. But the carry through, everybody wants to carry through because everybody wants to tell you don't finish things. Because in a way, everybody doesn't finish what they start. And so how do we say what we're going to do, and how do we say what we're going to do and do it? That is the essential element of being a functional human being. I talk to you, I tell you what I'm going to do, and I do it. Well, that's a tough thing, especially when you're inserting alcohol in your brain every night. I call it the gobbledygook factor. You basically take your brain and scramble it every day, then you kind of reorganize it every day, but you keep inserting alcohol and I call it the gobbledygook theory. And that is only Andy's theory. What I decided, and at the juncture when I was up in Midland, Michigan, this man, I really can't remember his name, but I should go there and thank him because he helped change my life. He gave me a room in an attic. Okay, he had like a, I don't know, 5-plex building, really big, 3 stories really, and there was a big, huge attic, and it was summer, right? And he said, "You can live in the attic," and he put a bed up there. I'm still trying to remember where I took a shower. I think I went to this gym there, and I took a shower every day. But I also went to the beach, so I could go to the beach and take a shower too. So every day I would take my books. This is before we had Kindles and stuff. I would take books that I had and read, and I'd go to the beach every single day, and I would sit on the beach and sit there and look at girls and contemplate my navel. Okay. And it was one of those times when I needed time to think. In the movie The Razor's Edge with Bill Murray, he goes to Paris and he's telling his girlfriend that he's going to get married. She goes, "Why are you going?" I said, she goes, "To think." And she goes, "Well, how long are you going to think?" "I'm going to think until I'm finished thinking." And sometimes that is what we need to do. Give ourselves a Caesar. A Caesar is a pause in the music. CAER. I can't really, I'm dyslexic, so I have trouble with these words, right? But we all need a pause. We need a stop, a full stop. The Brits call it a full stop. That's shutting off stuff. But we need a full stop in our life. Everybody deserves a full stop at some junctures. I think often I really respect the gap girl, the gap year for the Britons. They have a time right after, I think it's after high school. They get a year, they call it gap year. And that's a time where they get to go travel the world and do it. In the, 300 or 400, 500 years ago, they had the Grand Tour. The grand tour is when the rich noble guys would go tour all around Europe and learn how to be leaders. In the Israelis, we got after army. Okay, after army is like a go travel time for the Israelis. Like they all were here. There was hundreds of them here, and they all left to go back to fight in the war. After conscriptions, the draft in the thing. I think everybody in Israel, I believe, has to do it. But we need this time. We need a time to discover who we are. Okay, and I was not only discovering who I was, I needed to discover what the hell was wrong with me. Okay. All I knew that the only way to be okay was to be a good boy all day. And I truly, when I was drinking and I was running my business, I couldn't do it. And it's very difficult to do the right thing every day. You're constantly in temptation. Now, in the Bible, it says you always have a way to avoid temptation. It's not that easy. It might have been easy in 2,000 years ago when there wasn't any television and pornography and girls and shorts. I was trying to discover the word for pantaloons, Bermuda and pantaloons, shorts. There's this young lady that was dating this Viking guy, friend of mine from Norway. Her vocabulary is huge, and it's really wonderful to try to talk to somebody that has a higher level of vocabulary in Spanish. But when you're constantly inundated with temptations, the world we live in is radically different than, say, like Henry David Thoreau wrote his book Walden. He went to pond for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days, and he lived in solitude and self-reliance. Well, not much temptation, right? But he was a purist, and he was extremely well read. He had access to the Harvard library, and he went to Harvard. That's where he went to university. And so he was just taking the time. So he took the time for him, and he wrote the classic American book, not a novel, but a book, nonfiction called Walden Pond. And then he wrote the essay Civil Disobedience. Okay, but this is his time. He took the time. I've been taking 25 years. I've taken off the 25 years to discover who I am. And I remember being in Shayla almost 24 years ago, talking to this French girl. And she said, well, how long will we travel? We will travel until we know why we travel. Because that is essentially what people do when they go off on a long journey. Okay, we travel. It's kind of like Homer's Odyssey or something. We go on this never-ending trip to discover who we are, to find our gods. Okay, and it's kind of like I was writing in this in what's this? Jack London's book, The Call of the Wild. To go find out how it is to be your true self. And that's what the dogs did in The Call of the Wild. The dogs figured out who the true self was. The Call of the Wild called them back to their basic unedited version of the dog, right? Before they became domesticated, before they became tame. But I was living in this attic. So this man gave me his attic, and he had one proviso. This is funny. You guys got to really laugh at this one. He wanted me to mow the lawn. Okay, so he had a little push mower, and the lawn was just really small because it was like a 5-plex unit, and it was, I don't know. I suppose you could have mowed the whole lawn in less than 20 minutes, right? But because I was so emotionally bankrupt, I would start mowing, and I would get so frustrated that after 5 minutes, I'd have to stop. So every day I would go out and mow the lawn for 5 minutes because that's all the energy I could muster. And that was it. That's all I could accomplish is 5 minutes of work. I was bankrupt. I was emotionally incapable of handling anything. I was without any force, no will. The force was not with me. I had no juju. There was nothing of Andy. He was bankrupt. But I also hated Andy. Okay, and in this attic, I changed from Andy before Andy to Andy after Andy. So 40 years ago, I became a different person. I actually remember the place where I had my spiritual awakening. I was walking down the road and I had a quart of beer and I dropped it. Nothing worse than an alcoholic dropping a quart of beer. I didn't have a car, I didn't drive or whatever. I dropped this beer. Oh man, sometimes I about cry when you go all the way to the liquor store, you buy the thing, you're trying to hide from everybody that you're drinking, and you dropped a quart of beer, and they weren't in plastic, they were in glass. Crash, and I looked over at the side of the road and I said, no more. And that doesn't mean I could stop drinking. It just means at that moment I made the decision not to drink. Okay, and I made the decision to become Andy number two. So I have Andy number one. Really, there's kind of three Andys. Andy to age 18, where I didn't really drink, from age 18 university to all the way to about age 24 when I stopped drinking. I think I don't really know all these dates, but I made the decision. I lived in the attic, and I decided to say what I was going to do and do it. And this man, because he put me in the attic, made it real easy because I didn't have to pay anything to live there, right? All I had to do is mow the lawn for 5 minutes a day. He really probably wanted me to mow it for 25 minutes and begin something and finish it. But I would say to myself, I'm going to go mow the lawn for 5 minutes, and I would finish it. One of the greatest things about travel is it's got about a 99.99. Only about 1 in 1,000 people don't make it to their destination as a traveler. So one of the greatest things about travel is an extreme completion high for people, because even if they do everything ass backwards, they arrive. Okay, so it's the greatest completion, because a lot of people have never said what they're going to do and did it. They just showed up for work every day. So 30 years they showed up for work, and that's the only thing successful. They had 50% of the people are obviously failures at marriage, right? So why did they fail at marriage? Because they didn't really do it. They didn't choose the right wife. They didn't choose everything. They didn't do everything right. That's the reason why it's so 85% of the population is barely ever doing anything they say. And if they don't, they lie. Okay, lying is universal. Okay, so I wanted to be a guy that said what he's going to do and do it. So what I did is I would get up every day and I'd say, today I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to read, I don't know, 40 pages of my book. I can read about 45, 50 pages an hour in the book. And I would sit I actually got me a little chair, a little fold up thing. It's a really delicate thing in a way, but I take it to the beach. I would walk there, and we had a pretty nice beach in Midland, Michigan. And I would sit there all day reading my book, getting really nice and brown, and falling in love with being a handsome man again, right? Instead of being fat. I had gained a lot of weight because, I don't know, just debaucherous drinking and whatever. I got down to weight, and one great thing about going to the beach is, even though I was only about 27 at the time, I was, in great shape. Going to the beach is a great way to shame yourself into becoming a healthier person. And this is what I did. I went to the beach every day. I read a book. And how did I make money? It is hilarious. Macaroni and cheese. I'm always saying thank you to macaroni and cheese. Kraft macaroni and cheese was 4 for $1. Okay, 4 for $1, and I could have Kraft macaroni and cheese. And it's probably the world's cheapest thing. I'm always laughing when I have to pay like $2 here in Guatemala. The cost of macaroni and cheese is double the price here. But I wouldn't put milk with it. I wouldn't put butter with it. I just put some water and make it. And I don't know what I had there. I guess I had a hot plate or something. And I was sleeping on I think I was sleeping on a mattress. I was lucky I wasn't, bitten to death by mosquitoes. But it was really kind of a cool attic. I had little things pasted all over the walls, like I'm very prone to putting like little quotes up on the wall, right? So I can remember. I have these little reminders. Andy, tickler system. Remember what you're doing. So I got up every day, and my goal was to go to the beach. Now, how did I earn money? Well, in Michigan at the time, a can had a 10-cent deposit. So if I would stay until everybody left, I could go walk all around and pick up all the Coke cans, the beer cans, and whatever, and come up with like $1 or $2. And so $2 was all I needed to live. And truly, even right now, I can live on $1 a day. Okay, I can definitely eat on $2 a day. And I often don't want to talk about that because all you get is denigrated and get insulted if you, in a way, the biggest insult on the planet is to call somebody cheap. People just love to call people cheap. And I say, but you worked 40 hours last week and I barely did anything but had a good time and wrote a book and had fun, and you spent your just you got money. You're a wage slave. Why are you insulting me? Don't you realize that you spent 40 hours a week to have that money? Because I've only worked about 2 hours a day, about 1 day a week, just like Henry David Thoreau did in economy. For 5 years, he said he only worked 6 weeks a year for 5 years of his life, even though he only lived in Boiling Pond for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. I think as he got older, he became obsessed with changing the world and writing books. And he actually did work more because he was trying to pay for his fame. I think he actually had a dream of being famous. Okay, so I'm up in the attic, and I decided to myself, no bullshit. When somebody asks me what I'm going to do, I'm going to be ruthlessly, brutal honesty. And in the Alcoholics Anonymous, how it works and stuff, they talk about those that fail are incapable, emotionally or mentally or whatever, of being honest with themselves or others. And I decided, how do I be an honest person? At the same time, I made a thing called the goal worksheet where I went through the goals. It's kind of like a bucket list for goals. It's the mental, spiritual, physical, career, family. I have this. I still have it. And in my goal worksheet, I once in a while, I'll never forget Jeff Weston, a friend of mine. He was in Oaxaca, Mexico, and he says, "You want to have six-pack abs?" Yeah, I said, I still have that goal, and I still, 40 years later, have that goal. I have yet to achieve six-pack abs. I think I might get it though, because I'm really learning how to do things. But I learned this, and this is the lesson I really want to teach you. If you don't open your mouth and you don't say anything and you don't bullshit anybody, and somebody asks you what you're going to do and you don't comment, you don't try to make them happy, you don't pander to them, you don't say, yes, I'll do this, because everybody just feeds people crap. If you say nothing, it's real easy to do what you say. Okay, it's opening your mouth that causes the problem. So I learned how to keep my mouth closed. And I did this every day for almost 2 months. Okay. And what I did is I just said what I was going to do. If somebody asked me what I was going to do, I would refuse to comment. I would refuse to even, somebody say, meet me. And I go, no. And I go, because I didn't care about them. I wasn't going to let myself down. But it takes a certain part of brutal honesty to sit there and say to somebody, no, because we want to make people happy. It's like right now, I'm really sad about the YouTube world where you got likes, we got Facebook where it's like, you even got probably Twitter, and they only have a like. They don't have very few negatives, right? I think YouTube has a negative thumbs down, but the point is everybody's working to be liked. And this is a horrible way to evaluate yourself. To be liked is to be owned by the person. If I try to make you happy, and I'm only trying to make you happy, what about me? Okay. And this is the hilarious part. Okay, but everybody is getting, they're looking outside themselves for validation instead of inside. Warren Buffett talks about this as keeping your own scorecard. I keep my own scorecard, and I've been keeping my own scorecard for 40 years. I do not care what you think. People are often amazed when I'll just block them on there. They act like, well, you should be talking to me. I don't care anything about the people watching right now. I don't care anybody about watching this video. I'm only trying to become a better person. and I try to share my life with you, your life, and I only want to share it with people that are willing to be a friend, and they're willing to do things the right way, and they have a goal of being a good person. I'm addicted to being a good person. After 40 years of being a good person, I really don't know any other way. Okay, but that makes people really angry because they want me to go along to stay along. You want to go along to play along. I mean, it's just an insane thing. You gotta, like, in Rome, do as the Romans do. What if it's morally wrong? There's things that are morally wrong that we shouldn't go along with. Just because everybody's getting a tattoo doesn't mean you have to get a tattoo. It's not morally wrong, but it's just the Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to be a man, you have to be a nonconformist. And anybody that conforms all the time is just really a wage slave. They are just a product of society. And so how do we escape that? So I sit up in the attic, and I got up every day, and I said what I was going to do. And I got really good at this. Now, how did I get really good? I didn't talk. I didn't say yes. Okay, and eventually I learned on how to navigate the world and when to say yes. And when I have what they call the obvious principle. I wrote it in the book, Life is an Experiment, the Hobo Way. The obvious principle is the idea that you don't make a decision unless it's just overwhelmingly obvious it's a good idea. Anything less than just a absolutely good idea, you just don't do it. In business, this is really beneficial because everybody has these just nebulous, crazy, hypothetical ideas, and they always want to fix something that's not broken too. And I go, hey, this is not broken, we don't fix it. But the obvious principle says only do something if it's obviously easy to do. If you have to judge whether you can do it. But also you got the other parties, you got these wimps that always say no to everything, and they say, oh, I'll try to see you. And I go, well, screw you. I don't really, if you are not man enough to say what you're going to do, or woman enough to do it, or if you can't demand, you cannot show up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning or whatever we say, why would I want to be a friend with somebody that's not even capable of waking up in the morning, right? I had a girlfriend last year, and she made a rule that she said I could only come see her at 10 o'clock in the morning. I thought, this is insane. But she had no clue who she was, and it was quite obvious the longer I knew her that she had these anxiety problems. Her anxiety was probably that, there's people that have anxiety that they don't want to obey anybody. They don't want to obey their mother, their father, their commander, their boss. They just are the terrible twos on steroids, okay? But life has ultimatums, okay? A marriage is an ultimatum. And a lot of people get married and not ever understanding that they made an agreement to be one person. And that's always a humorous to me. Of course you're going to get divorced. You're going to do what you do, and you do it. You think there's two people. You're supposed to agree morally, mentally, emotionally on the same things. And they don't get married for the right reason. They just get married because they want to have sex. A lot of men get married only. I know men better than I do women. Hey, by the way, I think Lake Athlon for sure is a lesbian capital of the planet. I was finally doing some searches, like, why is there so many lesbians here? This is a lesbian hangout. Kind of interesting. I really like lesbians. Maybe I'm a lesbian. Yeah, I like women. Okay, but the point is this. You got to start over sometimes. And how do you do it? You just keep your mouth closed until you obviously know that you can say yes. And then when you say you're going to arrive at 6, you don't become socially late. Anybody that becomes socially late to meet with me, I think that's something you do at a party so you're not the first one at the party. You don't do that one-on-one. That's just an inconsiderate, you're going to make me wait for you. Just think how arrogant, macho that is. Wait for me and I'll come late. What a narcissistic person, right? But this is the way the world is. They want to arrive late and make somebody else wait for them. And that's highly dysfunctional. A functional world is I say I'm going to be there at noon and I arrive 15 minutes early because I want to guarantee I make it on time. When I sold real estate, it was quite easy. People ask, why are you so successful in selling real estate? I don't know. I pick up the phone all the time. I answer it. I say, hello, my name is Andy Lee Graham. And I answer the questions honestly. And when I say I'm going to meet them, I arrive early. Really, just bloody easy. And then I sit there and I'm on the phone. I would say one question. Would you like to go look at the house? Would you like to go look at the commercial building? And if they said no, and I said, I just want to ask questions. Well, I said, well, if you don't want me for a realtor, I'm going to go. See you later. Click. And when I'm in the house, I would say, do you want to buy it? So those two questions, that's all you need to know to sell real estate. You just say, would you like to go look at it? Because you can't sell something over a phone. And then you say, would you like to buy it when you're in there? And they go, no. So let's get the hell out of here. People say, well, you're not going to try to talk me into buying it? I said, I got every property in the city to sell. Why would I talk anybody into buying something they don't want? Ridiculous. Okay, but I started over. And I would like you to maybe take a trip to start over. One of the things that one of my bucket lists that I really did when I first started traveling, I don't think I put on shoes for over 3 months on the beach at Pia de la Cuesta. Pia de la Cuesta is about 8 miles north of Acapulco, and it's often called Sunset Beach, and it's a really great beach. And other than it's right now it's overdeveloped, and it's become. Last time I was there, it was about $27 for a room. When I was there, it was like $5, right? And I was lucky enough to go in and out between there, Tasco, Mexico City, and different places when I first started traveling. But I was on sabbatical from life. I'd taken another seizure, so it was 40 years ago, I took and started in an attic. Then, 3 or 4 years later, I got another drunk driving. And then right now it's about 25 years. I did another full stop, and took off for Mexico and just tried to discover who I was. And I didn't want to be a real estate broker. I wanted to be Andy. And what do I really want to be? I want to be a writer. I want to be an inventor. I love to start businesses. I don't like to run them. Okay. One of my links I have is about, 100 different types of inventions, businesses in 8 organizations to start. But we need to stop and look at our navel. Ombligo. How do I say that in Spanish? I was learning because the girl in the Joanns, one day she has total typical clothing on, the next day she has her belly button showing. Go figure. One day she's total tribal, the next day she's kind of haughty. Okay, amazing. But she was teaching me the word for, I always get it mixed up. Okay, but how did I do it? I said no. I lived in a place that was so cheap. Nothing. All I had to do is mow the lawn. And this is one of the things that you can do. You can come to Lake Atalan and live for less than $200 a day. This one man came here and he got this 1,000 Q a day. That's $127. And don't you deserve to start over? Don't you deserve to reboot your life? That's what I did. But what was interesting, I went 3 years where I consistently learned to master my emotions. And I got very good at saying what I was going to do. And I went back to Indiana and I got a job as a concrete worker. And I was always beginning and finish. The boss I happened to work for, Roussel Concrete Construction, he had one thing. He says, don't come home until you finished your job. So we'd have these little cycles. And it was really a great thing for me because the boss he understood that the only thing that mattered was completion. And that is what matters in a business. Somebody starts something and they finish it. So when you're a manager, what you try to do is you try to gauge the ability of the person and give them something that they can finish in a day, and they get the rush of completion. And if they don't care about that completion, fire them, okay? Because they need to get that, I want to finish what I start thing going. But then after 3 years, I got a drunk driving again, and then I was on house arrest. And again, I went back into 5 years of just maintenance, right? But in that time, I went to about 10,000, for the first 10 years. I went to an AA meeting every day for 10, 15 years. and I still go there. But I believe in the tenets of the. It's kind of like if you obey the rule book. What is the rule book? The Ten Commandments: love thy neighbor as thyself. Uh, get up every day and be a good boy. I mean, these are really simple things. And everybody, but why do people get angry at me? It's because I'm not controllable. Okay, I always laugh because they fall in love with me. A lot of these trolls, they're just in love with me. Okay, they're men that have a man crush on me. Okay, and I go, guys, stop weighing and living by every word I think. Live by your own rule set. And then when I say something like I disagree with them, they go berserk. It's like a jilted lover. And I go, you guys need to fall in love with somebody else. Okay, but this is the problem about making videos, writing things. Uh, when you really tell the truth and you really are intimate and you really are saying what you're going to do and you say it, and when you're talking with articulate way, in a very intimate way, and people know that you're telling the truth, when they disagree with you, it's like an arrow through their brain. Okay, and this is the problem. A lot of people cannot deal. They are so dependent. They're so outward. The only way they're approved is somebody likes them. And that's not the way you're supposed to. It should only be if I like me. If I like me, then I'm doing a good day. If I'm trying to make you happy and you like, like when a friend says, oh, I got 50 likes on this, I go, who gives a crap? I mean, I don't care how many people like what I do because I want to know, did I do it the right way? But how do we do this? Back to this. I'm going to end this pretty quickly because I'm addicted to being a good person because I got up every day for almost 40 years and did it. 37 years of being sober. 36 years and 10 months or something. I realized it's 37 years in March. Wow. What's the date today? Oh, February 12th. That's when I'll be 37 years. But I get all mixed up on these because I don't remember dates. But I traveled and I got up every day and I lived the life that I wanted to live, not somebody else's life. I was a hero of my own life. Charles Dickens, in the first book, wrote the book David Copperfield. In the first line, he says, whether I shall be the hero of my life or that station held by anyone else. So go be the hero of your life. But you gotta figure out who you are in a way, kind of. Then you gotta say, what do I really love to do? What am I really proud of me about? Okay, but how do you start over? You start over by keeping your mouth closed. It's really quite easy. All you got to do is keep your mouth. I told this guy, I don't know, what is this? This Australian guy on the other side of the lake, Eon. I said, Eon, there's no way to talk to you. I'm going to quit talking to you. And I quit. Oh, man, he went berserk because he wanted to hook me in into all these really silly conversations. And I said, Ian, you will never just agree. You're not really looking for dialogue. You're looking for a way to argue. And he had this anti-U.S. thing, which is just anal. I always wanted to say, you're kind of fat. You really, all you do is argue. Yeah, you endear yourself with a bunch of highly dysfunctional people, but I don't really care. So I stopped talking to him completely. And he would tell all my friends, he don't talk to me. And they'd come up to me and say, why don't you talk? He's an asshole. I don't talk to assholes. Okay. I don't talk to trolls. I don't talk to anonymous people. Well, why? There's no functional relationship there. Okay, but start over. And sometimes just learn to say no. If you can't say no, and you're always prone to doing these little white lies, that's who you are. You're a guy that lies all the time, a woman that lies all the time. You are not a sentient being. You're not Data, right? You cannot say what you're going to do. Be just brutally blunt like Data on Star Trek Next Generation. There's so many good examples. Okay, I'm here and you're not. Why not? Because I have the force of ego, the will to get up every day, to be a good boy all day. And that makes me not have a monkey on my back of worry, right? I'm not sitting around going, Andy, you're a piece of shit. There's nothing in me that's saying to myself, I don't let words come out of my mouth that talk bad about me. I don't say things bad about myself because what comes out of your mouth is who you are. but your actions are 10 times more important than your words. When I'm looking at people, when I'm looking at a girl, I'm looking at a person, I'm watching to see if there's a correlation between what they say and what they do. But most people just are naughty little boys, naughty little girls, trying to see what they can get away with. Oh, I'm going to go smoke some marijuana and I'm really not going to get caught. I'm going to go get drunk tonight. Nobody's saying. I'm going to show up late. Showing up late is the sign easily that you have no respect for your friends. Okay, hit that subscribe button and make my life better. I have a Patreon thing, and I really would like to, think about it this way. If you gave me $5, you ended up paid on just the $5. That would pay for 1 week of me living. 1 week. So give me 1 week of life abroad, and then I can continue to share these things. I want to go to Africa, and I want to go to Cuba, and I want to go everywhere. I want to go to Concord, Massachusetts, to the Thoreau Society get together in July 10th. So I'm kind of changing my plans all the time. Okay, life is good. Andy Lee Graham, hit the subscribe button.
Heads Carolina, tails California somewhere.